Welcome back to the Inner Alchemist TV. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Wanda Moore from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Before we get started, please like this video. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and that you have your notification bells on. What was I going to say? Oh, I am going to be releasing my Chris Fletcher video really soon. And then I have a collective reading that I did probably maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago that I just looked at my YouTube unreleased videos and saw that I never put it out. So I'll be putting that out as a collective video. So I don't even know what's in it. Some things may have passed already, or we may be in those moments already. I haven't re-listened to it. I just know that I need to launch the video. So that will be the next 2 videos after this one. And then if you guys have any suggestions or anything that you want to see me look into, you could put it in the comment section. I know that most people are saying that they're over Huntsville. I kind of look at things through the lens of the card, so it's a never-ending story for me when it comes to alchemizing energy. And just, seeing yourself through the lens of the tarot and other people's situation. That's just how I look at it. But you guys let me know if there's something else that you want to see. Okay. Let's jump right into the reading, which the overall energy for this reading is the 6 of Swords. Now, the 6 of Swords is about 2 different things. For one, it's about moving on, right? It's about trying to put things behind you. Now, at a base level, it's about traveling. Traveling over water usually, so that usually can denote like a cruise or some type of boat trip. And you know how they have like those New Year's Day boat cruises. It could be something like that, or it could be just going out of town or something. Just something like that, like a trip or a journey. Now me, I look through the psychological lens or the subconscious lens of the tarot, and for me, the 6 of Swords is about you trying to escape some inner feelings that you're having, and you're trying to kind of pass away from being sad or going through a hardship and look for something better. So the 6 of Swords is representing a change for the better, and maybe some time away is not a bad thing, but just make sure you're not running, because sometimes the 6 of Swords is about you running, and the thing is, wherever you go, there you are. So you may have a desire to escape your pain, but until you deal with it, there really is no escape. You're just ruminating in a different environment, right? I feel like the 6 of Swords do say that, rough times, they are going to be behind you soon. But it's not saying that you're not still in the midst of the storm. And I could see where there's some stormy weather in here, but hopefully I can reveal some things that will help, right? The 6 of Swords is about cutting some losses. And by cutting losses, that can mean coming to terms with situations where you maybe didn't handle things right. Or maybe you lost things because you were playing too many games or being childish or doing any old thing, right? And it's about saying, some things are not recoverable and it's time to move on, right? Look towards the future. Like I said, I feel like there's still turbulence, because if you look at the card, it's turbulent on one side and smooth on the other. So that means you're in the middle of transitioning, but you're not there yet. So hopefully this reading will help get you there, right? The 6 of Swords can be a positive omen, but it's only positive if you're not taking the past hurt and pains with you on your next location or your next journey. So that's what the 6 of Swords is about. The overall and sometimes the 6 of Swords, and there's a lot of Swords energy in here, and usually that represents like something verbal, mental going on. And from that perspective on the 6 of Swords, this is about somebody making a statement or some type of declaration, or making not necessarily an announcement, but somebody's going to state their position or how they feel about the current events or things that have taken place over the last, I would say, 5 months. And I only say that because I have both the 5 of Cups here as well as the 5 of Swords. Maybe I'll call this I Know What You Did Last Summer, because 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords, this looks like the summertime to me, even though I think I think it's winter and summer. Or spring and winter. I don't know. I got to look it up. Yeah, so that's what I have as the overall energy. Now, the reading is opening up with the World card in reverse. That to me is a lack of closure. And I have that clarified by that Five of Cups in reverse. And the Five of Cups in reverse is still about grieving some type of loss. Now, the Five of Cups can obviously, when we think of loss, we think of loss of loved ones, but this can also be the loss of friendships. And I think the tarot is clarifying in the recent past why you had those losses. So I feel like there's a sense of regret and a sense of self-pity, but also her trying to pull herself out of that. And maybe she's looking at some type of support group, but actually the support group that she's leaning on, I feel like she's kind of playing them a little bit, because this is about her having like crocodile tears. And there's some element of her strategic display of grief or sadness that's fake, right? That's fake. I feel like she has remorse for some actions that she took though in the past, and maybe she's been in denial about that. And this is a feeling, this is like a situation to me where it's like delayed, like I said, delayed grief coming up or whatever. I feel like she is crying over spilled milk, and I also feel like there's a sense of her looking for some attention. She feels like she's done most of her suffering alone, and I feel like she wants somebody to recognize maybe what she's going through. She does have some friends around her. This is a new friend group who are encouraging her or trying to pull her out of whatever doldrums she's in. But I also get a feeling of her. You know how you have somebody who cries and then they look up through that one eye like, are they buying it? Are they buying it? Something like that. That's how people build flying monkeys, right? They cry to people in private and show them their plight in private, and then no matter how bad their behavior is, people are stuck on what they think they know of that person in a private. Oh no, that person's so good, that person's so sad, that person's so weak, they need protection, and they're just playing you. I feel like there's a sense of resentment here. I have two cards of resentment, and I want to delve into that a little bit. I feel like this Five of Swords in a recent past shows a little bit of that resentment. The Five of Swords is about being spiteful towards people who you feel have more than you or are more privileged than you. And it's about you being willing to do anything to get to the top, or to get to the front, or to have what you deem as other people have, because you feel like they were not as good with their advantages as you would have been. So it's like a person saying, well, if I had this or I had that, then I would have did it this way, or I would have done it that way. Now the Five of Swords also uses people, and that's why, now there we go, that's why I just said flying monkey, because this is about you using people to take the advantage over other people, or better yet, you taking advantage of the people that you're using. But it's all about your spitefulness and your resentment. I feel like you're doing things, or you have done things, this is the recent past energy, to get ahead. And a lot of your attitude or your ways about you, or this underlying tension that you've held towards so-called friends, had to do with you feeling disadvantaged. And then as a result of that, being cutthroat or using cutthroat tactics so that you can get a piece of your pie, or so that you could be amongst people who you feel like had more than you or more privileged than you. You know what I mean? And so you were willing to do anything in your power to get what these people had. And then you got there and you won. But this is asking at what cost? Like, you burned so many bridges working from that emptiness. And now this win, or this upper position that you have, it feels empty. There's a lot of cards of emptiness, like I said, grief, unable to get over things, unable to move on, building constant friend groups to encourage you, using their energy, because like we said, it's just a bunch of crocodile tears. You're not really sad. You just need support. But at the same time, the reason why your win feels empty is because you were empty when you sought out the desire to win in the first place. Because remember, you did all this because you felt maligned. You felt like people had more. You felt like people thought they were better than you, and you were willing to get down in the dirty just to get there. But I thought you did. I thought you loathed that. I never understand that. It's I always talk about being pro black and white supremacy, because I talked about this in this sector too back when I used to do content a year or two ago, whenever I was doing commentary, which I stay away from now. But I talked about when there was this thing like the mellometers versus the ops, and I would see the way that some of the ops would move, and I say, well, hell, if you just like them, you all you doing is waiting for your at bat. Because when the helms turned and the wheels spinned, everybody did exactly what they complained about and crusaded against in others. So it's like you were never really against the actions of the other people. You just wanted your at bat. It's the same thing that we look at with a lot of black people who complain about racism and white supremacy. Some people just want their turn at the top, at the power position. But they don't actually have a disdain for the things, tricks, maneuvers, and schemes of others. You know what I mean? This reminds me of that. This reminds me of somebody who's just been waiting for they just wanted to be at the top and just will use whoever, whenever, and however to get there. Now, with this Five of Swords, all of your real, true allies turn their backs on you. Yeah, that's what that Five of Swords means. It means that people gave up on you because they recognized how cunning you are. When maybe at first they felt some affection towards you, or like they had to take care of you, because remember, you come with that Five of Cups energy, the grieving, the remorse, the sympathy, but with your fingers crossed behind your back and one eye peeking to see if they're buying it. You know what I mean? This is just a bunch of resentful, spiteful feelings that are deep inside of you. Deep inside of you. And it's based on an attitude that you have towards people who you think have more than you. Nothing more, nothing less. Using too much force. And now, I don't know, I feel like things have backfired, because the Five of Swords, they don't get the results that they want. They get results that they didn't never ask for or desire. Because guess what? Sometimes, this is what I learned. You got to be built for certain lifestyles and positions. Some of us look at people at the top and we imagine what it's like to be them, but we never think about what they had to fight through or suffer through. I remember it was that time when I just started my job, and I used to go to work so spunky and high energy and just doing my job and in my own world, and people were just tearing me down left, right. Who does she think she is? Blah, 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 blah. And it was I couldn't even get up in the morning sometimes. It was a task for me to put my shirt on. I was up all night from staring over my kids, thinking that they were going to be tragically hurt the way my mother was. I was going through some of the worst times in my life where people were looking at me like, who does she think she is? Or like, she's this or she's that. Not knowing that I'm already in a low position, and then they start attacking you from that place, and it's like, God damn. Sometimes you don't really know what people are going through. And then when you fight through that and you overcome that, then people call you, with celebrities, they'll say they're in the Illuminati, and it's like, or they'll say you're a witch or something. It's like, do you really understand what people at the top have had to overcome to even have the fortitude to stand in that position? Right? I talked about in my last reading how you could fantasize about a life so great, and when you get there, not know what's waiting for you. Whether what's waiting for you is pain, anxiety, grief, and loss, or just simple jealousy and hatred from others. That's one of my top things that I used to couldn't handle. I can handle it now because God wrought that in my character for whatever reason, but that's only as of recent. Haters have never been appealing to me. They've never been my motivation. They never fueled me. They only reminded me of how much sadness is in the world. and they would make me sad. You know what I mean? People who attack others, you know, and I used to just want to heal women and give them things and pull them up. And one day I realized that I was doing that shit for my own goddamn safety. Like, maybe if you were whole, you wouldn't attack me. And I mean, listen, you know what I mean? So people covet your outcome, but they don't want to participate in your process. And they don't want to do the work. If they saw how ugly it was on your journey, on your way to what they covet, what they even like you. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like this Five of Swords is just giving me. I feel like Wanda always had a desire to belong or be accepted by people who she felt were better than her. But the amount of genuine relationships you sacrifice to get there, the amount of people that you step on to get there, and then you get there and it's empty up there because you was not cut for that life. It was never you. Now with my family, I grew up in two families. I grew up in a family that was really upper class, and I had a family that was lower class, and then I was in the middle because I was of both families, and I felt not good for either one. You know what I mean? And I realized, but I was raised by my upper class family, my aunts and my grandmothers and stuff, right? Every life path or goal they set for me, I just didn't do, right? They wanted me to be a judge. They wanted me to be Thurgood Marshall so bad. They wanted me to be an attorney. They wanted me to be a doctor. Oh my God, Lori, you're so smart. You're so this. I mean, the endless conversations, right? But I would never succeed. And I just wonder why is everybody in this family college graduates? Everybody's married, 2.5 kids, own property, and I'm just stuck in the background somewhere, wanting to be a mother, wanting to be a soccer mom, a gypsy, a fairy, a psychic. Like, what is this all about? And I would have this big sense of failure for not being able to live up to their expectations of me until it dawned on me, I think around 2018, when I first even came on YouTube doing my tarot readings. I used to do them in person, and then I started doing them on YouTube when I saw people doing them on YouTube. And right around that time, it dawned on me that my sense of unhappiness was coming from trying to measure up to the standard that was imposed on me instead of embracing and maximizing who I really am. There was like a huge dissonance between what was projected for me to be and what was internally inside of me. And I loathed myself for not being in alignment with what people wanted of me, who I felt were better than me. You know what I mean? And I had, in order to overcome that, I literally had to break away from my family for years and years and years and years, just to establish a solid perception of self and who I am and what I really wanted. I had to leave my entire family to do that because the dissonance it's a lot, and it's a hard thing to contend with. But you know how they say rejection is God's protection? Sometimes not reaching those goals is because they're not really you. When you find yourself failing at this or that, ask yourself, whose standard are you trying to reach? Because you're locked out of a vision for a reason, and sometimes it has to do with it not being yours and thus not his will for you, if etc. Right? Tough shit. That's kind of like what I'm getting from this card. But I'm getting the energy of somebody who continues to fight and struggle with resentment and spitefulness towards a place that she cannot be. You know what I mean? Because her own ego desires to be leveled with certain types of people that she's chosen and has deemed privileged or better, not in spite of not knowing what their life consists of, just knowing that it's not hers, and harboring that and wanting that instead of embracing her true will, which has to do with some kind of charity or her being charitable. I don't know if it's her destiny to work with like homeless people or impoverished women or working in like soup kitchens or something like that. I don't say that negatively. I say that with all due respect and honors, because it's basically saying that you're so pretentious and such a wannabe that you fight, scrimp, and scram to be amongst those highbrowed women's and people, when really it's the people that are more like you that need you. You know what I mean? It's the people that are exactly where you are that need you, not where you think you should be, and not where who you deemed as better than you is. The strength card is in reverse. This is saying humble yourself, and you need to work off compassion and not being spiteful, right? But that involves you getting close to people. That's all I was saying. Get close to people. I've been close to so many women: rich women, poor women, drug addicts, church women, CEO women, bosses, managers, lover girls. What do they call it? I forgot what them people call when they date outside their race. Those women. All women. And when you do, you just see the differences in women. You know what I mean? I feel like this strength card also represents her being too stubborn in regards to a particular situation to make amends about it, knowing that she cut some friends. She's holding back on coming forth with, that recompense. Is that what they call it? I think it's called recompense, when you come and you make amends to people for what you've done, or for how you burnt bridges based on your own pretension. Like I said, you got the Three of Swords in reverse. Another swords energy with the Four of Swords. Now this Four of Swords here, this is in reverse. I think it just represents her being sick or recuperating, or everybody's sick right now. It's the winter time. Maybe she was resting, but maybe she's also gaining some perspective. It's in reverse, so this is recuperation. This is you. But sometimes you can get even more sick. But if you were sick, this sickness would be caused by the illness of what you're going through mentally. So, like how I made the analogy, and I didn't mean to hurt anyone's feelings about the correlation between anger and cancer. There's also correlations between resentment and certain illnesses. I think it's like a, how they have those anchor points where you can see on your body where what you're holding shows up at. For instance, like resentment may be like IBS or gastrointestinal issues or something like that, or spitefulness may come across as like a migraines or something like that. This is like, I feel like this Four of Swords is coinciding with some of that, and saying that your illness is directly caused by your attitude of being stubborn, spiteful, or resentful. Yeah. And as of right now, she by herself. This is her being reclusive and being to herself, at least in some element. But like I said, also feel like there's a certain reckoning here. I wouldn't say guilt. I would say remorse. And I would say that remorse comes from the amount of losses that she did not expect to take. Making the choices that she was making. I don't think she expected it to feel like that in the end when she felt like she was winning. So yeah, there's loss. You got the Five of Cups in reverse, and you got the Three of Swords in reverse. This is both loss and chaos. Yeah, things are not in order. But that Six of Swords, it's like I said, overall energy is a good omen that you are getting there, but you got to understand how, right? You got to deal with what your issue is. And if I were diagnosing her through the tarot, I'll say your issue is resentment, right? I feel like Wanda's a thinker though. With the strength card is Leo. Leos are intellectuals. And I feel like she's been analyzing some type of situation and maybe trying to put people in different compartments based on what she could use them for and how, right? I feel like she wants to initiate some type of apology And maybe there's some people that she's trying to see who can be the go-between, or who can speak that into existence, or open the other person up to that. Because with the Three of Swords in reverse, this is saying that she has to be the one to initiate the apology, because she was in the wrong after a fight. And it's saying that, honestly, in order for her to move on emotionally, because she is stuck, you got the World card in reverse. This is lack of closure. You got the Five of Cups. You got the Five of Swords. This is all of you not being able to move forward emotionally. And that's because you need to reconcile. You need to reconcile. I feel like Wanda has been hurt, but now she's making sense of things. And whatever heartbreak has been experienced through this friendship or this loss, it's not over. There is potential for it to come back around, but she has to be the one to apologize. And how do we do that when we're stubborn? Right? Or how do we do that when we can't communicate certain complex emotions, right? Or certain emotions that we're in denial about. You know what I mean? Some people can't look at themselves objectively or call out objective truths without feeling like they're criticizing themselves. And we have to learn. I learned this back in the day, probably 15, 20 years ago. And it's about recognizing your behavior or your action without identifying with it. And the simplest way I could describe it is like saying, I stole something, but I'm not a thief. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, I've done something scandalous, but I'm not overall a scandalous person. And when you're harshly criticizing yourself, you're taking your action and you're making it you're identifying with it. You're calling it yourself. And most actions that you do are just a moment in time. But once you accept the identity of it, then you start to embody it. And that's what you should vehemently reject. I feel like Wanda's trying to strategize a lot. Five of Swords, two of Coins, weighing her options, Knight of Swords. This is her trying to strategize who she can use or how she can approach or reapproach a situation so that she can make amends. I feel like she wants to make amends, but my pride won't let me hide. Is it my pride won't let me cry? 'Cause it always, what they say on that song on Lately, whatever. I have no skills in the singing department, but this is about your pride getting in the way. Now, this Knight of Swords is closing out the reading, so I will have to say, and it coincides with the Six of Swords, with her making her statement. This is you blurting some shit out. You know, so maybe she just might work herself up and just blurt it out. You know what I mean? I think she might be confessing to drawing first blood or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like there's some, I don't know. I feel like not a confession, but a statement. Like, I feel like she's going to make a statement. You know what I mean? About things. But there's still that stubbornness and that ego is still going to be her trying to like prove that somebody else was wrong in the situation, whereas the tarot to me seems to be asking her whether they are wrong or right. Because your Three of Swords is in reverse, it's saying that you were the one to be in the wrong, and therefore you have to make the apology. Yeah. Seven of Coins is there. I don't know. She may feel like it's not worth her time. Sometimes that's about wasting your efforts. But it's also about growing up. You know what I mean? If she does make the apology, it's just because she wants the credit. And she'll use that. If she takes this initiative, it'll be her using it to say, I did something. I did that. I did something bigger or better. You know what I mean? It could be something like that. I don't know. That 7 of Pentacles is there with that 2 of Pentacles. I feel like she's evaluating things and figuring out how she wants to approach this, but it definitely has to do with her not being able to get any rest over this unfinished business. Yeah, definitely. Anyways, listen, that's what I got for Wanda Moore of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let me know what you guys think of the reading. I know it's hard to let me know because you would have to know, right? In order to know. I always say only the subject of the reading can clarify, what this is really about. But I don't know. What are some of your hunches? Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and please smash that like button if you will. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and also have your notification bells on, and check me out on the Inner Alchemist at Etsy so you can find some stocking stuffers for your office party, like my homegirls at work. Okay, listen, soft soles, that moisturizing foot balm, the roll-ons, they're really good stocking stuffers. So listen, check me out. You might find something you like. But until then, I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.